Good morning and welcome to our reflection for Wednesday the 30th of July. I'm going to read from the Message version of the Bible because I think it's really good language, and I'm reading from the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 8, verses 1 to 15. Now, friends, I want to report on the surprising and generous ways in which God is working in the churches in Macedonia province. Fierce troubles came down on the people of those churches, pushing them to the very limit. The trial exposed their true colours. They were incredibly happy, though desperately poor. The pressure triggered something totally unexpected, an outpouring of pure and generous gifts. I was there and saw it for myself. They gave offerings of whatever they could, far more than they could afford, pleading for the privilege of helping out in the relief of poor Christians. This was totally spontaneous, entirely their own idea, and caught us completely off guard. What explains it was that they had first given themselves unreservedly to God and to us. The other giving simply flowed out of the purposes of God working in their lives. That's what prompted us to ask Titus to bring the relief offering to your attention, so that what was so well begun could be finished up. You do so well in so many things. You trust God, you're articulate, you're insightful, you're passionate, you love us. Now do your best in this too. I'm not trying to order you around against your will, but by bringing in the Macedonians' enthusiasm as a stimulus to your love, I am hoping to bring the best out of you. You are familiar with the generosity of our Master, Jesus Christ. Rich as he was, he gave it all away for us. In one stroke, he became poor and we became rich. So here's what I think. The best thing you can do right now is to finish what you started last year and not let those good intentions grow stale. Your heart's been in the right place all along. You've got what it takes to finish it up, so go to it. Once the commitment is clear, you do what you can, not what you can't. The heart regulates the hands. This isn't so others can take it easy while you sweat it out. No, you're shoulder to shoulder with them all the way. Your surplus matching their deficit, their surplus matching your deficit. In the end, you come out even, as it is written, nothing left over to the one with the most, nothing lacking to the one with the least. And this is the word of the Lord. So, money. It's always a thorny issue, isn't it, with everybody, really? Nobody really wants to talk about money, and it causes embarrassment or annoyance to so many people. I remember in my last parish before I retired, I was assistant area dean and talking to some of the churches about Fit for Mission and about coming together as missional opportunities. And the first question on everybody's lips was this: do we get to keep our money? Oh, well, that's all right then. And they didn't ask any other questions about whether they could, still have a vicar or, what would they be expected to do or anything. It was always about the money first. And I think that, is universal. And I think it's interesting to note that the churches, the early church, the very early Christians, just had the same issues as we have. Or we have the same issues as them, whatever. So Paul is encouraging the Corinthian church, which was a very wealthy church, to give generously. It's funny, I noticed when I worked in the Manchester diocese, it was always the people who were less well off who were the most generous, which is amazing, really. People just giving sacrificially. One of the things that Paul talks about in the scriptures elsewhere is the fact that legally Jews were expected to give 10% of their money to God, and that was part of the law. And he points out that we are no longer under the law. So, we're not legally expected to tithe as Christians. However, we followed Jesus, who always talked about going the extra mile. That referred to a Roman soldier being able to just stop you and make you carry his stuff for a mile. And he would say, go the extra mile, do what's expected of you and more. And he said, if somebody asks you for your cloak, give them your coat as well. Do more, always do more. And so you might have picked up that Paul Ellis and Alison and Arthur and myself and Gary were all part of the same church in the early years. And they made a point of giving 12.5% of their income away. So, lots of people like doing it, don't they, for charities. But one of the things now that happens is that we have something called parish share. And so it's automatically sorted out for us that we as a church we are looked at, and it's decided on whether we're wealthy or not. So much money goes into the diocese, which automatically covers less well-off churches and provision and clergy pensions and things like that. So in a way, those things have been done for us, although, people can opt out and just choose not to pay, which is not great. It's a gift, not an invoice. So I suppose the question for us, as it was for the Corinthian church, is this: we give so much to God, and actually on a Sunday morning we say, we used to say as part of the liturgy, all things come from you, and of your own do we give you. In other words, what we say is that everything we have, including our money, belongs to God. And I remember a Christian leader saying when I was an early Christian, the good news is that God's a billionaire. The bad news is that his money's in your bank account. So, like the Corinthians, we're urged to be generous. Let's be like Jesus said and go the extra mile.